want to talk about NFTs. We were chatting for a second before the show started, and I mentioned that my goal with these episodes here on Tasty Live is to not so much try to educate around hear the specifics about how this protocol works or some esoteric element. I want to present some concepts. Some of these things are the direction that I think you're seeing blockchain technology go in, for example. Might not be there yet, but I think it's important for people to understand that there's a lot more to this than just betting on the price of a token going higher in dollar terms.
Okay.
I think it's really, again, rooted in the technology. So I want to talk about NFTs, and I guess maybe let's start with, are you guys familiar with NFTs? I'm sure you've obviously heard the term, but where are you at in terms of...
I own some NFTs. I own some NFTs too.
All right, we got NFT owners.
We both bought some NFTs.
We clicked on the technology and bought it.
So
we both bought some NFTs last night.
You've had an experience.
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
Did you know we were doing NFTs on the show, or are you guys just actively in the market?
I did not.
I knew we were, but we were actively just messing around with some stuff last night.
Well, now I want to go in all sorts of directions.
Sure.
What did you buy and why? And maybe we can spin it back into this.
We just bought a couple of digital collectibles. No
music ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Music related.
So we're not in the market for $1 million.
I'm not interested. I'm not
interested in digital art.
Okay.
I'm not interested in digital. I am interested in digital collectibles, but on a certain kind. I'm not interested in. It depends. I don't know exactly what all these are.
Well, I've got a typo on my slide. I'll call out. So that middle one shouldn't be digital collectibles. But yeah, let's start with that. What are these things, right? I think they could be crypto's killer app, and that's kind of what I want to dig into here. And what I mean by killer app is what's that thing that really ushers in the next billion users of this, right?
I actually think that is exactly what NFTs are going to be. They are going to be the bridge that that ushers everybody into some form of Web3. Like I just think that that's kind of going to be the bridge. Like I don't think everybody's going to buy a cryptocurrency right away. I don't think anybody's, maybe not everybody, is ready to trade crypto. But I do think you're going to see people start to use NFTs because I think people understand the concept of a collectible.
Yeah, I would even start before what it could be, which in some forms is representing digital collectibles. But I would just look at this as really, how do I think about an NFT? It's not a JPEG. It's not this thing that's part of speculation. It's not even a digital collectible. It's that it's a unique identifier on a blockchain network. And we can attach that to anything. And therefore, we now can have marketplaces for digital collectibles in a world that's becoming more and more digital. Art was probably a natural place to start.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that whole argument around, I can just right-click, save the picture. Well, sure, but you can go to the museum and take a photo on your iPhone as well if you want. What's really interesting about this is on a blockchain, with an NFT, with this unique identifier, you can not only represent things that are tangible to us, but also data sets. You can represent investment positions. It's not a stretch to say that you could at some point represent securities in this tokenized form. Because again, this is a token, but not in the same way that we have Ether, which is a fungible cryptocurrency or token. These are all unique identifiers. And so some of the features there, right, as we've talked about, you can represent anything digitally. They're transferable. Clearly people are aware of the marketplaces. You can trade these things. You can trade artwork, for example. And it facilitates ownership. You have copyright elements to this. You have royalty payments. So if we get back to music or to the digital art, the original creator today doesn't really receive any royalty payment, the fifth time that painting is sold in a gallery. A lot different here in terms of how these are programmable. So I think that's a great place to start. Digital collectibles, digital art. We could see real estate represented in some form and many other securities.
Well, I think the way you have to think about this, Ryan, is also that it eliminates a lot of the middle tiers. So it essentially creates, like why should, just as an example, let's use Christie's or Sotheby's, why do you need to give them 40%?
Yeah.
That's all. Why is, people are more than capable of buying and selling stuff on their own. And I just feel like, we can create a much better,
if you can justify its validity being real,
but
which
that's
you
the whole
can do
thing.
on the blockchain. That's the key there.
That is the whole. So the difference is
because it goes back to the baseball card. Why do you
Right.
need it to be authenticated by somebody?
Right. I mean, how do I know who signed this? How do I know this
Right.
is Jimi Hendrix guitar?
Right,
How
right.
do I know this is my Thurman Munson rookie card?
Right.
Yeah.
How do I know what condition it is? What I'm saying, all those kind of things, and all those middle tiers. So okay, this is worth $1,000, but with all the, I have to read. There's just what's the markup or markdown? Is it 40%? Something that's worth 1,000 trades for 500. Because of everything that's involved. I mean, the beautiful thing about the NFT world is it's essentially so much cleaner.
Yeah, I mean, you can establish provenance. I would argue that Sotheby's does have some value add in terms of facilitating the transaction, bringing people together, but you're seeing that replicated to an extent in digital marketplaces. I don't think that the Sotheby's value add is, can we justify 40% on a $10 million painting?
Well, you used to be able to,
Right.
because you couldn't get enough people in the room that would create a marketplace. You remember you had to create a marketplace. And what you have at Sotheby's is essentially it's an open outcry auction marketplace, right?
Yeah.
And now it's expanded because of technology and the internet, but essentially a lot of it was let's bid the price up, right?
Right.
It's pure open outcry. I think in the world that we're heading into, you get to eliminate all that crap, and the actual creator gets a bigger share of the pie.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump into kind of what that world looks like. I want to talk about some more of the use cases, utility here, but just really quickly, I also want to point out that while we've seen prices absolutely crash, right? We are no longer in the multi-million-dollar Bored Ape CryptoPunk days in the same sense that we were.
That shouldn't surprise anybody either.
Right. I mean, look at what's happened just across risk assets, broadly speaking, and this is probably one of the more speculative areas. That said, when you look at sales, just the individual sales numbers, this stuff isn't going away. It's accelerating. We're up 68% year over year in 2022 compared to 21, which is the most difficult comp. And even though the price went down, look at trading volumes, you're pretty much in line with that banner year of 21. So I just think it's important. That's what is interesting about just the transparency provided by blockchains. You can see all this in real time. We can take a bit of a fundamental view. It's not just a guess or speculation. We can actually see what's happening on chain. So I wanted to point that out.
I mean, we've seen, Tony and I both actually, it's funny, we talked about this last night, but we were like, it's so much easier. Like, I would never trade a collectible. I just put them in my closet. Like if I buy something,
right.
because it's not tradable. Like, I don't want to deal with that.
You don't have a liquid market for it.
There's no liquid market, and I don't want to go some shop, with some grifter and deal with all that,
we should do like a
Feel like you're getting ripped off because you don't know what the market is.
Well, you're getting ripped off. You don't feel like you're getting ripped off.
That
Giving everybody the benefit.
It's like you're going to a pawn shop. Okay, you're not exactly getting it. They're not paying you over what its value.
I want to watch that though. You go to a pawn shop and like sell some of your collectibles. That should be a YouTube series.
Well, you could just go on TikTok. There's 700 of them, they're pretty funny. Yeah. But I mean, the pawn shop will give you whatever, 25 cents on the dollar. The nice thing I think about this marketplace is it's the whole world.
Yes.
Who cares?
It really is. And when you look at, where we are today, it's so early. If we can jump to the next slide, I want to talk through a couple of the reasons why I think, this, to your point earlier, Tom, is the killer app. This might be what really ushers people in, whether they realize they're using some of this technology or not. And then we'll kind of tie it together with, where there might be an investment case potentially. Again, the argument around this is about speculation. Why would I buy this JPEG when I can right click, save it? Mm-hmm. When you really think about NFTs and you look at what's happening here, this is about how brands are going to start to leverage this technology, how musicians, how artists already have leveraged this technology, the value that these brands can create. We're at the very beginning of this. And what I think is you're looking at something that's the equivalent almost of email marketing, but there is an investable angle. I suppose you could argue that there's clearly an investable angle around email marketing in the early stages if you could predict what tech companies like Google or others were going to do, because you can invest in them. But this is a way where you could almost, from a macro perspective, invest in kind of the base layer. All of that said, NFTs offer the potential to incentivize people to participate in a community, right? Take Tasty Trade, Tasty Live, an example. If I hold a Tasty NFT, there might be more of a reason for me to participate in everything that Tasty's doing, especially if it drives the value of my NFT, compared to if there wasn't that mechanism.
We've been talking a lot about this recently internally, and we think the future of investor education is going to be in NFTs.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And I don't think there's any, I don't see how that's going to be. I mean, nobody quite understands that yet, but or at least I don't think people are seeing that. But I think that, we've been talking about this, and I think that you're going to see it within a year.
Yeah, every brand is going to wake up to this, some sooner than others. But this is
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
And so, we could get into the tangible benefits. There's clearly a way to connect these to real world experiences.
The rest of the world doesn't think this way. Just so you know.
Yeah,
like, there's nobody that's thinking this way right now.
And that's why
nobody.
we want to talk about this, because, we go back to Tasty Crypto. It's not just about we're building a platform where you can buy tokens and hopefully they go up. This is something much, much broader, where we want to explore all areas of this technology and create better experiences for viewers, for users of the platform, and so on. I see a ton of examples with, let's say, the Bad Trader Tour, things that we could do. You're already seeing Ticketmaster explore NFT tickets, and then you have this proof of attendance, in a sense, that might get you additional benefits, where from a marketing perspective, makes it easier for brands to find those that are loyal to them.
Well, I actually think that the reason I'm so happy we built this Tasty Crypto is because I think within 12 to 18 months, every single person that has an account at Tasty is going to use their wallet for a variety of things. Like right now, nobody uses it. Like, on a broad scale, it's a small percentage.
Nobody really uses crypto.
No, I understand. And it's a tiny, small percentage. And the only two firms that really offer wallet, like Tasty and, let's say, Robinhood, right? That's it. But I think that within, 18 months to 2 years, every single person with an online brokerage account is going to use their wallet. There's so many different things. It's not just about crypto.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think of it almost as like just the wallet, the concept. There was a point in time where not every bank had a mobile app. There are no banks today that don't have mobile apps.
Exactly.
They don't exist, right?
Exactly.
That customer experience has to be one way.
Exactly. It's the same thing. It's not that the industry is going to change. Trading is still going to be there's just so many applications for it, and I'm starting to just visualize it all now, and well, we're going to be the first to be there.
I'm excited about that. And I think if you're looking at how do I participate in this, great, this all sounds good.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about it today.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that if we jump to the next slide, you kind of look at this, given just where we are, as the picks and shovels approach here to mining gold, where at this stage you can go out, you can probably find a platform or pick a specific project. You can certainly do that when you look at the digital collectibles, digital art, and try to speculate there. But if we're right in the direction of things, and we get back to this analogy that it's the mid 90s and this is the internet, if we're right in the direction, then I think the way that you can look at this, and you can certainly measure the amount of NFT activity on some of these blockchains, but it's really just, okay, do I want to own that underlying token that supports this entire, we'll call it paradigm shift almost? And when you look at where the biggest or the highest amount of activity is, it's Ethereum, it's Wax, it's on Ethereum layer 2s like Polygon and Solana. And I'm not trying to make a
What is Wax?
Wax is just another blockchain that facilitates NFTs or specific to NFTs compared to the broader nature of, let's say, Ethereum. But not making a specific recommendation, the majority of activity right now is on Ethereum, but I think that's the way you can look at it. What's the fundamental kind of angle here? It's probably the cryptocurrency for the blockchain or the token for the blockchain itself that all of this activity is occurring on. It's in a way, it's like, what internet do I invest in, if that makes sense? And again, I think, as we've talked about, that would be a huge macro tailwind that I'd be looking for, and you can measure activity around to see, is the increase in adoption occurring? Are we correct in our kind of investment thesis here? That's how I would tie this all together.
Love it.
The NFT concept.
Love it.
Awesome. Good job out of you.
No, thanks, guys. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Welcome back to the show. We're going to take a quick 90-second break. We've got more Tasty Live coming up next with a market measure. This is Tasty Live.